and welcome to this first episode of 2024 of the podcast Echo. I hope I got that right.
No,
Anyway,
we
did one a couple of days ago. Do you know what? It's that weird period where you're still trying to adjust the time and shit. So it's like, it's the 5th of January. It's close enough. Even if it's not the first, it's one of the first of the new year. So if we've not heard from you guys beforehand, Happy New Year and all that stuff. So this week on the show, it is my turn to, I guess, host an episode, if you will. And apologies a bit from me to Ange for this one, because I actually changed my mind at the relative last minute, because we had another episode lined up from Diary of a CEO, which unbeknown to me, Ange was already listening to. And we were all set to go through that one. But this episode we'll go through today is one that came up to me. So we're recording this on a Friday afternoon. This came out on YouTube on Wednesday afternoon. And just the very title of it made me think, okay, this will actually be a good one. So before I tell you the title, so this is taken from the Late Challenge podcast, hosted by two Scousers, so people from Liverpool. And one of them, Paul Cope, is my coach. So he's the guy that I worked with, gave me all the direction and guidance and all that stuff in my coaching space and journey. So when I talk about my coach, this is the guy I am talking about. And he is alongside Gareth Roberts. They've been longtime friends, and they also worked on a previous Liverpool Football Club related podcast, and now set up their own to talk about football a bit in general, but life in general. And the title of this episode was called New Year's Resolutions, pluralize it, New Year's Resolutions are bollocks. So I thought, okay, timely. So I thought if I wait for this further in the year, it might not make too much sense. I thought, look, let me try and see if Angie's free, and luckily, hopefully, she was free enough to hear most of it. Ange, let me turn it to you for a second. Did you get a chance to hear it, and what did you think?
Okay, so I'm just hastily like trying to shut down a load of apps that I've got open on my computer, because actually, as I'm talking to you, it's getting more and more pixelated, and I can just about make out your big furry beard now. But it's fine as long as you can see it. It's recording all right. That's fine. That's fine. So yeah, I did get to listen to it. Now, you know me, I like to listen to them 2 or 3 times, and I absolutely 100% always listen to them on the morning that we do the show, and that I haven't had a chance to do today. So I have only listened to it once. So normally I've got some pointers in my head that I'm already like ready to talk about, but I think this is definitely going to have to be a show where you start talking and I chime in at the bits, because it's kind of, I think it must take me 3 times for it to fully get in there. I did 1,000,000% found it interesting listening to it, and there was some stuff that really made me chuckle, like when he was talking about going in drunk and finding a chair in the middle of the floor. I mean, I'm abstaining from alcohol at the moment, and over the last 12 months, I did 3 months without alcohol, and then 6 months, and then obviously I had a few drinks over Christmas and blah blah blah. So I'm back on the wagon again. But when I wake up the next morning and I've come home drunk, I walk around the house thinking, what was I doing? Why is
trying to piece it back together? Going, what?
What in the hell? I've often said that I would absolutely love to have a camera in my house when I come back drunk, because I think it'd be a comedy of errors to see what I get up to when I come in, honestly.
There's another late night Channel 4 show ready to be made.
Can you imagine?
Day 1, 3:30 a.m. I'm just wandering around the house, wonder what the chair is doing in the hall, or something like that.
I keep losing you completely. It's normally when it lags, it tells me it's my internet, but it's not.
You're still coming through fine, my side.
Okay, well, we'll unless anything changes, we'll keep going.
Okay. Apologies to any audio people listening; they might not be able to see what's going on. But anyway, this is not part of the fun of the podcast. Yeah, as I say, I know it's a bit last minute, but I did see the title. And I did think, hold on, I know we've got the recording on Friday, but I thought it was only about an hour. And what you find with the podcast is they take in a load of stuff from all over the place. So this whole show
Yeah.
wasn't just about the one topic. They do divert off into, towards the end, they talk about darts.
Yeah.
So the recent darts championship, the 16-year-old that went all the way through to the final.
Yeah.
But even within that, they talked, something about how we could sort of relate to life and perspectives on that. And the reason I picked this one is that I saw from the comments that the episode was talking about aspects of life and stuff like that. So look, beyond the sort of jokey title of resolutions and bollocks, what they talked about there was the idea that we all wait for a time of year, a sporadic random change of time,
Yes.
to start doing things for ourselves. And it was a message I heard a lot in my time with Paul, that he talked about, they talked about a survey done by Currys. So again, for those of you outside the UK, Currys is like an electrical retailer in the UK selling like laptops, TVs, all that electrical stuff. They'd apparently done some research to find out people's resolutions, and they came up with the list of essentially working on your physical body is the main resolution, like going to the gym, working on your diet, sleep in bed, all this kind of thing.
Yeah.
But one of the things that Paul said a lot was like the reason people end up making them and then falling flat by the end of Jan or into Feb was that they didn't ask themselves the question of, well, why do you want to do that? And they were talking about in the episode that like it sounds good, we know the change of year. We'll have seen on social media. I'm a little bit guilty of it. Of you proclaim like new year, new me, and all this kind of stuff. But really, there's nothing to stop you at any point to make the change you want, as long as you come from perspective of you're making this change that you're looking for a reason. Now, I think a lot of times where you don't end up making the changes for yourself is you're like, well, am I doing it for me, or am I doing it because it looks popular, or the dumb thing to do, or the fad? Like we even term it in things like veganuary. It's like, for fuck's sake, who's mangling these words together, right? And and then we're surprised when we're like, oh, I didn't stick to it, and then actually perversely we have a go at ourselves, going, oh, I've got no willpower, I've got no motivation, I can't do it, I'm not good enough,
He says, doesn't he? We say, right, I'm going to make a New Year's resolution to lose weight. Well, you can't make a New Year's resolution to lose weight. That's not how it works. You have to make the New Year's resolution to do something proactive that will result in losing weight. And even then, why does it have to be at New Year? Like, surely to better yourself should be all the time.
Exactly. I think it gets caught up with the whole you put things off till the date, so it's a means of procrastination, convenience as well. Paul mentioned it in the show that like if you make those health related resolutions or decisions at that point, you're like, yeah, but you've still got a load of leftover food from Christmas, New Year's, probably a load of bottles hanging around, sweets and chocolate tubs everywhere, half eaten. You're like, well, and I want to start eating healthily and all that kind of thing. And you mentioned that conversation you had with his girlfriend saying, well, I'll do all that once I get through all the chocolate. I just want to enjoy all that first. And then we'll talk about broccoli and carrots and all that stuff. And he makes a point, right? And we look to make these changes, these sort of life-affirming changes. And even Gareth went on to say that, like, yeah, he's got a whole list of things he made with his friends saying, things we say we'll do, but we'll never get round to. Having a pint every month.
Yeah,
never happens.
Yeah, do you know what? I kind of, so I don't do that. I have to say, I don't beat myself up about stuff. So if I think to myself, like, I decided that I was going to I want to try and give a whole 12 months of not drinking. I'm not entirely sure if I picked the right year for it, if I'm honest, because one of my best friends is having a hen do in blooming Benidorm, and then she's getting married in Vegas, and it's my daughter's 30th. She's having a big party in a week and a bit. So I've got a lot going on that's going to make it really, really. And I do a bit of part-time bar work, so it's proving to be quite difficult. But I am trying. But what I do is I don't kind of go right. I'm going to do this on the 1st of January. That wasn't my intention. What I decide to do is that when I'm ready and I know that my brain has got the willpower to do it, then I will start. I don't set myself unrealistic. Right, I need to stop drinking tomorrow, because I know as soon as I tell myself I've got to start doing something, I will instantly want to do it more. And I know that about myself. It would be all I can think about. Well, I think I'm going to go. I want to go and get a bottle of wine. I want to go and get a bottle of wine. And I do love a good bottle of wine, but I also much prefer myself. I'm much more productive. My brain works much differently. I'm much more effective at work when I'm not drinking. But I know that trying to do that over Christmas was going to be absolutely pointless. So I just kind of resigned myself to the fact that I know 100% that once I set my mind to it, I will do it. And I will wake up one morning and I'll go, right, I'm not going to have a drink now. And this year, that just so happened to be Monday morning, New Year's Day.
And that's after you spent the night before, isn't it? We mentioned about New Year's Eve offline, that it's a quiet one. You know, they talk about even on the show that, like, is New Year's Eve what it's cracked up to be? You know, it's a struggle to get home. Things are overpriced, and you know, that's before you even enjoy like the midnight fireworks. You know, they talk there the little section about the fireworks. That, you know, Paul was saying that, like, you know, that they might come down with the young boys in the family to see it over Christmas, but then people point out, yeah, but it's 20 quid to stand there and watch, which I actually find quite funny, because you imagine like X thousand of people standing on the embankment in London where the fireworks go off on the Thames. So you got a pen essentially where people are in, pay 20 quid to get in. You can be literally one step beside them outside the barrier, looking at exactly the same thing for free. Yeah, it's like, what? I don't know if you've ever seen it. There's that the comedy show Extras by Ricky Gervais.
Oh no, I've not seen him.
Okay, he just shows it in a different manner. Where, like, he's in a nightclub with his friends, and then in a VIP section, he's like, "Yeah, look, I'm in VIP, right?" And it's literally just like a bench, and it's just a velvet rope in, like, between one seat and another. So he's sitting inside it, and his agent, who's a bit of a bungling guy, Steve Merchant, played brilliantly, right, sits beside him. He's like, it's literally the same seat. I've paid 50 quid to get in here. It's like, what is this? He just goes off on one saying, I paid 50 quid to have a bit of rope. And he's like, oh, so good.
I mean, we did it recently, didn't we? We went to the premiere in London.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We were sat in the VIP area. And shift across a bit, and then they put a rope across, and we were still sat there, and then that was VIP. And I think people had paid like an extra 200 quid for that.
Yeah, and we were like, oh, this was VIP. It made no dissemination that this was like the posh area, and it was literally the space at the back of the room.
Where we
no, like, cordoned off. No, like, you know, you have to step into something or step behind a door. It's literally just like.
I'm not mocking anyone that paid for it. I'm really, really not. But it just resonates with what you've just said.
It's a great point, actually.
I've got to go upon now. So yeah, that just like reminded me of that.
Do you know, they actually made a great point, actually. Like all the issues we talk about in England at the moment, right? With, you know, NHS and food banks and all this kind of thing. You know, they made the point of, like, you know, they took, 20 quid every person paid for a ticket, and apparently, you know, a million people, or X 100,000 people, added up to like 1.75 million. And you're like, you're spending it on these fireworks and things like that. Yeah, we've got all these problems going on. And also the point is, like, the government talks about it like it's their money. I've spoken in a Scouse accent for no reason. It's their money. It's like, well, no, it's our money. We're the taxpayer that funds it in tax revenue. And, like, actually, do you know what? It's actually a pertinent point, really.
No, I missed the fireworks because I fell asleep. New Year's Eve, I normally quite enjoy New Year's Eve. It's normally one of my favourite nights of the year, and I do normally do something. I've done Brixton Academy New Year's Eve. Fat Boy Slim, Tobacco. I've done all sorts New Year's Eve. I do like a good countdown. This year I fell asleep. Or one of my dogs is really petrified of fireworks, so I was really stressed about it. Which, by the way, just give me 1 second. I'm really sorry. Stop it. I'm sorry, they were fighting.
Oh, maybe they heard about the fireworks and I've got no more fireworks.
I'm a bit worried that their play fights might get a little bit out of control if there's no one there to rein it in. So one of my dogs, Havoc, the little one, she's really scared of fireworks. Like her whole body shakes and her heart pounds. And the other one, Chaos, doesn't care. She watches them out the window. She's fine. But so I was quite stressed about it, and I did have a bottle of wine New Year's Eve, and then I fell asleep at like 10:30, and I set my alarm for 11:30 so that I could wake up. And when I woke up at 2:15 in the morning, the alarm was still going off. So through it all. But I went back and watched the countdown because I actually always find it really emotional. I don't know, I just do. It always makes me cry New Year's Eve. Old Lang Syne, all that singing stuff, that out with the old, in with the new, that, you know, that endless new possibility of the thought that anything can happen and that you can start afresh. I mean, I preach that you can start afresh every day. Every day is a new start. Every day you can be the new version of yourself that you want to be. But there's just something about New Year's Eve that I do personally love.
Yeah, I think it's like a collective shared moment, isn't it? That we're all there going into this new time period of the year. We commemorate it. You know, we often have friends and family around, which we don't necessarily do every day. You know, we don't kick off every day like it's New Year's Eve.
No.
But that collective, you know, we all watched the bongs of Big Ben, and you know, fireworks if you're into that. You know, even they made light on the show, right? Paul was going, okay, this is dragging on a bit, isn't it? It's like, you know, 10 minutes of fireworks. There's only so many times you can go, oh, wow, that's nice. And you're like, yeah, hurry up, mate, will you? Like, it's nice. It's creative, the montage and all this kind of thing. But like,
I didn't watch all of it. I watched the replay, and after about 3 or 4 minutes, I switched it off. But I tell you what, I'm not going to lie, and I wasn't tipsy because I'd been asleep and I'd woken up again. So it wasn't even like a bit of a tipsy drunk rant. So at the beginning, and they pointed it out, it said the Lord Mayor of London.
Yeah, presents. Fuck off. Get your own money.
No, but there was another bit, and it said, what did it say? It says something about London welcomes everyone.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And I put this massive big rant on Facebook about, as long as you're not fucking XL bully, then you're not welcome. You're not welcome anyway. And I was just, that's it. I turned it off. I was like, I'm not watching this crap. I'm a big dog lover, so I feel very passionate about this whole situation. But I just thought, yeah, no, not watching it now. It's garbage, rubbish, not interested. Government's screwed up. So, yeah. So
and it cost £2 million nearly.
Did it?
Well, I'm guessing that...
well, I'll have a Google, see how much it costs.
It's a shout. Yeah, that's a shout. I mean, it would be interesting.
Yeah. How much did...
I mentioned, I see in my notes here as well that like I don't know if it actually is that much, but the reason I get confused is they talked about then on the subject of that research we were talking about. You know, Curry's did research for New Year's resolutions. There's a poll apparently that's going to come out, or it might have come out already. I'm not sure, where people are going to be canvassed opinion about the royal family.
Yeah, they did that quite. They did it. They did it before, didn't they? They did it back in. It was the first time they'd ever done it. Back.
I don't remember this.
Yeah. They did it. They did a general census to find out people's thoughts on the royal family, and I think it was after Diana died.
Which would make sense.
Yeah, they did one back then. So go on, have a guess at how much you think the fireworks cost for.
Oh, right, so I've clearly got confused here because I thought it was into that 1.75 million, but I think that was for the royal family research stuff. So I'm saying for these fireworks, 50 grand to 100 grand.
Higher.
That was Bruce Forsyth. Lower, good game. $250,000.
Am I looking at the right thing? So London's New Year's Eve fireworks budget 4.5 million.
How much?
4.5 million.
Wow.
I know, that's why I went quiet as well and had my mouth open aghast. Yeah, attendance under 100,000.
That
Budget for
this is for 5 days ago, yeah, 2023.
yeah.
Jeepers. Hang on. Just under 100,000, you said.
Attendance under 100,000, yeah.
Okay, so if we say
Please.
90,000, right? You times 20 quid each. God, this is going to make really great content. We're both on our phone.
I wonder how much.
Okay, 90,000 people, 20 notes each, 1.8 million. So they're spending 2 and a bit million.
I'm
Near 3 million.
I'm just double checking another article to make sure I've got that right. Previous around 2 million. Got your tickets. Blah, 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 blah. Where is it? Right, so London New Year's Eve fireworks are watched by thousands all around. Blah blah blah. Blah blah blah. How much the London fireworks cost? Here's everything we know. Oh, it's currently unknown how much 2023 costs, but previous displays have cost 2 million, so it's expected this year's fireworks cost around the same. But I've just that's from Heart FM. But I've just found another article. Wikipedia says 4.5 million, but anybody could have wrote that.
Put it straight. It's in the millions, right?
I keep coming back to this 4.5 million.
But it's effectively 10 to 15 minutes worth of display we're talking, right? That's crazy. If you imagine London costs that much, what's all the big fancy ones in like Sydney and all those places, look, they must be.
London is big and fancy as it comes to firework displays. To be fair,
yeah, maybe because like we rarely see those other countries that they seem more sort of like glamorous. Like Sydney always looks quite picturesque, but to be honest, I don't know the detail about how much they do and stuff like that. But do you know what? To each their own. It's a little bit of enjoyment, right? I did like that bit about the royal family where they were going like, we're spending that money to ask people what they think, and it's like, what are you going to do with the result? You're going to tell if we always said, sod the royal family, we're going to tell them to like bugger off.
Yeah, it's kind of. I think it's a bit of a look. I'm not a royalist. I did back the Queen. I was quite. I think she fucked up, but I think we all do, and I think that's all right. She didn't always get it right. No one ever does, and that's all right. I think they did another survey like this back after Diana died to get to gauge the popularity of the royal family and what people wanted to see. And I think it was really really swayed against them. I think it was like 60% were against the royal family, and they clawed it back then. They'll claw it back again.
Do you think so?
Yeah. I do.
What makes you say that?
Because I think that we are always going to have a monarchy. I think it's who we are as Great Britain. I think that people will be more enthusiastic about the monarchy when Will and Kate become in power, because it's a much younger generation. It's a much more in touch generation. Obviously, hold on a second. I'm really sorry.
No, it's all good. All good.
Stop it. Get in bed. In bed. I've had to separate them.
Oh.
That'll be fine. Right, yes. So, I can't imagine us as a country without a monarchy. I don't know. I think.
You think because it's been a part of us for centuries now that it's just.
I think it's a massive part of our tourist I think I don't think London would have the tourist pull if we didn't have a royal family. I think a
Mm.
lot of our generated income comes from the tourist income comes because we've got a royal family and because of our heritage in this
Mm.
country. We get a lot of money from the Duchy of Cornwall and all that kind of stuff. And all these people that kind of go, oh, they live off of the taxpayers' money. Well, they kind of do a little bit, but it's a lot of their income comes from the Duchy of Cornwall. So from land and livestock and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know the ins and outs, and I know that that isn't as straightforward as it is. But they do own a lot of land, and they do earn off of the land. So I think as a country, if we didn't have a monarchy, I think we'd lose quite a lot.
Mm. I know what you mean there, because even though the what you call, I guess, unifying figures, right? Everybody, I say everybody, but like a lot of people had affection for Diana. A lot of people had affection for the Queen.
Yeah,
But with them not around anymore, um, I guess the mantle that you've got left with is like, I know he's not strictly part of the family now, but Prince Harry is, you know, um, I guess appeared as a controversial figure in light of his, brother, who seems to be more down the storied path. Same with Charles himself, right? But he people have their own views about Camilla, and things like that. So, there's a unifying um, factor in people's perspective on the royal family. I'm not so sure, because with the Queen, it's like people marveled at her longevity, and then when she passed, people talked about how down to earth she seemed when they got some time with her and this kind of thing. Ordinary people, meeting her and the impact she had. But you're right. What if it might take a younger monarch to come in and see how that relationship goes? It'd be an interesting one for sure.
yeah,
Because for so long we've you know had the Queen in charge, and with her passing, it maybe marked the end of a particular perspective of the royal family with her as the head of state. But now with Charles, it's like I guess it feels like, I guess, we might be generally finding our feet between the two of us, if you will. Like like last summer, was it last summer? We had the coronation. First
yeah,
time, like, loads of people in this country will have experienced that.
yeah,
So it'd be an interesting one. But I can see what
yeah.
you mean when, like, they might be around to stay, if you will.
I think Charles is quite progressive as a monarch, much
Mm.
more in tune with a lot of greener issues than
Yes.
he was concerned about, and I think that's a good thing. I think um, I think he's had a really bad press, and I think no one else's fucking illicit affairs get dragged through and scrutinised quite as much as his has. Because I'm pretty sure if he was just Joe Blogs around the corner, no one would give a shit. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like, you know, these people. I think do you know what I think? I think because the Queen did such an outstanding job of putting her personal life on the back burner.
True. True. True.
I think that because of that, the expectation for Charles to do the same was an unrealistic expectation in a completely different time. When the Queen was forced on the throne, because let's face it, she kind of
Mm.
was. I think, what was she, 21? And she promised to serve this nation for as long as she could. And she's the longest serving monarch ever. I think because she did such a sterling job at putting absolutely everything behind running the country and the nation. But that was in a time when, there was a lot less technology and things were very different. I think the expectation for Charles to do exactly the same was bestowed upon him unrealistically in a completely different era of time when things were completely different. back then, the king, the future king, would be expected to marry someone who was pure, hadn't been married before, hadn't, was a virgin, basically, came from good heritage, had good lineage. So they picked Diana. If we'd have fast forwarded that situation, maybe another 30 years, he probably would have been able to be with Camilla right from the start, and none of that shit would have happened, because it's a very different time now, and people have much more open views about who you can marry. But back then it wasn't like that.
But I guess there's also that reminder, isn't there? In that, that obviously concurrently running is this series, The Crown, that depicts it. I think they say that it's tried to be as true as possible to what actually happened. But in then, you people get a chance to watch it and not relive it, but like, instead of like looking at what happened and stuff like that, it's like, okay, there's a nice little dramatization I can check out, and maybe people enforce their perspectives from what they see. Like Camilla was that always figure in the background, not necessarily sort of looking to sort of take things over, but was always there as a constant presence, and maybe she had more influence than people might have initially thought, and that was Charles that sort of tempted too much or this kind of thing. But whilst working through his struggles with Diana, she had her own thing going on. Do you know what I mean? It's like, if anything, do they feel more accessible? And then you carry on in the whole thing that has happened with Prince Harry. Him being that honest about what he feels goes on in first his own space within the royal family. That is he kind of a bit of almost a black sheep type thing. Compared to his brother, for example, that doesn't seem always rosy as you might think it is, and the whole institution is a bit sort of falsified, and especially is his wife sort of considered in the same family and that kind of. And do you know what I mean? It's like, it's like, do we all have the access and the means to just go right? We can judge. Whereas, as you said before, we had a head of state that was very private, never really shared much at all. You probably see it for 10 minutes at Christmas, and that's about it.
Is it? Well, I don't know, because she did have lots of engagements. I think.
I mean, in terms of like just by means of hearing from her or seeing as you say, something going on in her personal space. Whereas you might see Charles now, he's heading, not heading, but like going to like this summit or talking here, doing this, doing that, whatever.
But we're a much more technologically advanced nation now,
sure.
where everything all over social media. The news is on 24 hours a day. It's probably not that he's doing more than she was doing. It's
true.
More visually available because of social media. It's kind of like that thing. I mean, I know this is a massive, huge change of subject, but it's like all this stuff in the news at the moment about suicide, and it's higher than it's ever been. Well, it probably is, but it's always been there. It's just that now people are talking about it a lot more, and there's a lot more emphasis on it happening. I think the Queen. I think she was private about her private life, but I think that she did probably more than Charles is doing. Do you know what I mean? I don't think that she wasn't in the forefront as much as he is. I just think that social media and News 24 and all that kind of stuff just wasn't around back when she. I mean, we don't even have that many Commonwealth states anymore as what she was ruling over, and she ruled over 11 Commonwealth states, and she went to them all. Now that wasn't always reported on. Because we just didn't have the technology like we do now to do it. So I don't know.
It's a fair point.
I think that Charles had to go on the throne. I don't think he perhaps particularly didn't want to. I don't know. I'm just speculating. My thoughts would be, why would you at that age want to take on that responsibility? But obviously he had to, because otherwise it would have gone to Andrew, and that would have been a shit show.
Dear.
Somebody said to me the other day, I was talking to somebody about a very similar conversation, and they were saying about the Queen staying in power as long as she did, and why didn't she step down and hand over to Charles? And I tell you, do you want to hear my crazy theory on this?
Go for
So,
it.
in the background, with all of the shit that's been going on, was all the stuff with Andrew, right?
Yeah.
Now, the Queen, in her older years, had to deal with all the Andrew shit. And rather than everybody blaming her, we all kind of felt sorry for her because she's in her later years. She's running the country as our longest reigning monarch. We all think she's wonderful. She reminds us all of our grandma, and she gets a partial vote of sympathy for even having to deal with it. And yes, there was a bit of uproar for her paying everyone off and, you know, taking his title away and removing him from fucking royal duties. But ultimately, no one gave the Queen shit for doing any of that stuff. We all blamed Andrew. Could you imagine if Charles had to have done that for his brother? The nation would have been in uproar. He's protecting his brother. He would have got shit. It would never ever have gone down in the media if Charles had have had to have been the one to do what he did, as how it did for the Queen. I don't care what anybody says. And I reckon that will have been one of the contributing factors that she stayed in power for as long as she did. Because I bet she'd have loved to have resigned 10 years ago. Got you
Can't.
thinking, ain't I?
Yeah, well, it certainly has a ring of truth to it, you know, and maybe experience plays a part too, right? That like, look, she's lived through a lot. Okay, maybe not something as unique and as mad as this, but it's like, you know, in those situations, maybe you need like the experienced hand on the you know, on the tiller, as they say, you know, to play this out how best they should without it sort of going out of control. Because obviously, like, because it's, you know, we've got way more access to it now, and the fact that, you know, we've got the means to share information this rapidly means, you know, probably a lot came out. And obviously he infamously put himself in front of an interview on Newsnight, one of the news program, whichever news, sure it's Newsnight, and it was a disaster, right, in terms of how he came across and questions answered and body language and all that stuff, right? And you know, even now it's still in the news, right? Like the papers are being released. I saw of Epstein, and it's like, okay, it's something that, you know, it's not like, okay, let's sweep it under the carpet, you know. But at the time, it feels like, you know, did the Queen help to sort of not gloss over it, but it's like, right, we need to sort of, you know, deal with it, as you say.
I think there were much more pressing matters that needed to be dealt with. And I think what she did was she dealt with it in a way that she would get a bit of backlash, but not too much. And then she struck him off from being able to do anything.
Yeah.
But I think if that had been Charles having to handle that situation, it would have been it would have been a massive uproar, because it would have been a man protecting a man. Whereas what we saw was a little old lady that looked like our grandma, just fucking trying her very, very best to stop a bad situation from getting worse. Whereas if it had been Charles, we'd have all been gone, oh yeah, he's covering for his brother, digging him out the shit. They're both as bad as each other. He was friends with Jimmy Savile as well.
That's the point. That is the point. You know, they did show that on that documentary, The Reckoning. Yeah, that it was very clear. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really well depicted.
Let me tell you, that's a whole story. I reckon that's why Jill Dando was killed as well. I reckon she was about to blow the lid off the pedo ring in the BBC. And I have genuinely, I swear on my life, I've been saying this for about 10 years. I've been saying that there was cover-ups in the BBC, that she was about to blow the lid off, and that's why she got taken out. Still believe it now. Wouldn't surprise me if it was Savile, because he was an horrible bastard, and he would have done shit like that without question.
Wow. Okay. I did not expect that one. But look, this is the nature of it, right? I mean, you know, we're going back to last week's episode, maybe, of like conspiracy theories and what have you. But look, who knows? Who knows? I mean, tragic case as it was, you know.
It's become a more popular theory over time. There are quite a few people out there that believe that it was all pinned to Barry George because it was an easy way for the police to, you know, wrap it up neatly, and that he's been released since, obviously, and they've said that it was rubbish and it was all fabricated. And yeah, fucking Savile, man, he was behind that, I'm telling you. say that.
Definitely got me thinking.
In my door tonight. Let me tell
Okay, so what I wanted to just come back to the original podcast, right? Because they went on to a bit that like I found really cool, right? They sort of changed tack going on to talking about. So there's an interview done with a footballer called Zlatan Ibrahimovic, where he talked about happiness is what we experience through moments, and I thought that was a really nice way of putting it, where we're preoccupied. Come back to maybe resolutions a bit of like, I want more of money, wealth, prosperity, all this kind of stuff, right? But he said, like, do we often miss out the happiness that we experience in these moments, right? Like, they cited the example of even like the Beatles. The two examples they gave was like, if you look at every Beatle after their fame and they split up or whatever, they all became quite reclusive in their own manner.
Yeah.
Individually, right? Because they, were they trying to escape the fame that they'd self-created? And Paul mentions a quote from his book that George Harrison made of like, yes, outwardly we are the most well-known, famous rock band probably ever, yet it doesn't bring you that inner peace, that inner contentment and happiness, all that, right? And
it's that quote by Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey, yeah, I've got that now in my notes too, right? Like, if anyone's not heard it, it's something like, I wish everybody could experience what it's like to have fame and fortune for 15 minutes. Then you'd see it's not all that it's cracked up to be.
Yeah.
Which I still think it's quite hard, because like, it does feel that like a lot of the times we want that kind of adulation stemming from a place of like, I was on a podcast this morning actually about talking about our need for significance and ego. That we all want that sort of recognition, that acceptance in that form, whether it's fame for a talent, or just being well known for something, or having that sort of wealth to have that as proof, going, look at me as a success. And then we use that in like to attract partners, or to show influence. I'm well off, therefore I can do X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
And it's like, is it all that's cracked up? Because coming back, like, I really found this stat quite interesting, that they mentioned that some research or what have you was done to find that like as soon as you hit a salary of 60 grand a year, that's like your peak level of happiness stemming from earning. And then after that, it's diminishing return. Yeah,
so you get that's enough for you to comfortably be comfortable and have everything you need. That makes that's I think that sounds about right. I think I worked in construction management software for quite some time, and I reckon I was earning probably between 50 and 60 grand a year, and I would absolutely say that's fine. It's not the happiest I've been, absolutely not even close. But it was definitely the most financially comfortable, stable, secure, and able to have little treats and holidays and all those things. Do you know what I mean? I think that resonated with me quite a lot, because it really did get me thinking. And I was like, yeah, do you know what? Actually, yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds good.
Well, when I heard that, I thought, do you know what? It's something I've been privy to, in terms of numbers and salaries wise. But I think one thing we all forget readily is that 60k a year gross, because you've got to pay tax, which none of us can avoid, as Shakespeare famously paraphrased or quoted.
Taxes.
Yeah, and the reason I say that is like, the reason it's sobering is like, one of the factors for me of like going, just sort of rechecking myself, is like, and I by no means want to sound sort of ungrateful and I should have earned more, that kind of thing, or deserve more. It's more kind of like, okay, you earn that salary, and then you look at your paycheck and go, okay, a big wodge has gone on tax, which is fine, that's good. But then you reflect about, hang on, I've worked this hard in something I don't really enjoy. When you think about it, it's not improving me as a person. It is just a glorified number cruncher at the end of the day. Look, if you like your investment banking, you're in it, fair play to you. I'm going off, like I said, it's not really a benevolent activity. You are earning big salary wise, and then a huge chunk. So you reflect, at the end of the day, that's my take home.
Yeah.
it's quite sobering, and that's what made me think, hang on, what am I actually doing then? If I'm not enjoying it and I'm not getting that, so in one sense, was I giving myself a false sense of security, going, yeah, but I'm earning X. You are, but then X, a lot of it goes into tax, and not just at the point before you get paid and it goes in your account. And when it comes to your self-assessment, there'll be more, because you've got to pay your accountant and your self-assessment tax bill, and you're like, fucking hell, I'm spending a whole load here. And it's bloody sobering when it comes to making your own individual payment to the tax authorities after it's gone through at the point of you earning. All I'm saying is just like, I think I'm tied back to the point of the podcast, like, money gets you X far. And they also note that, like, look, if you're in, you know, a place in your life where, you know, you're really struggling for money, and then, like, yeah, you know, every bit you earn is going to count, and absolutely right. But it's like, it's because it's surprising how readily we go for, I want more money. Yet when it's shown that, like, beyond a certain point, it doesn't really make you happy. Now, how many times have we heard, or probably even hearing more, that, like, you know, really talented, famous people, sports stars, film stars, music stars, do the things that, like, God, I wish I could do that. I want to do that. They're like, I'm just not happy. They're famous. They're earning. We quoted Jim Carrey, famous actor.
Yeah.
And they're not happy. They probably earn shed loads. And they're not happy. It's quite stark.
But people like Jim Carrey do use their fame and platform to talk about mental wellness, and
Yes.
and I think that's a good thing. I do think that if you are going to sit there and say that fame and fortune isn't everything, but be seen to be using that platform to help people to attain a next level of happiness, or to talk about that, then I don't think that's a wasted platform.
No, not at all. And in fact, you actually appreciate the honesty there, because it begins to get back to the level of where you once were. Like, people, you know, we've heard that phrase of don't forget your roots. You know, like, you know, there's some people that might get changed by the fame and the fortune and forget where they come from, etc., etc. But, you know, when anything that harks you back to, you know, when you were starting out or whatever is quite a cool thing. And I think it helps you connect with them a bit more. I remember a player used to play for Liverpool called Sadio Mane. He came from Senegal, and his story was like, you know, not a well-off background at all, travelled for miles and miles without any form of kit to, you know, go for trials to places, and then ultimately end up in Europe. And now with his salaries, I think he spends most of it on building schools and hospitals back home in Senegal.
Yeah.
Which I think is a really cool thing.
Brilliant.
It just shows him, his values as a person, but also it's like, yeah, I might be earning, but I think he even said, I don't need like the fancy watch and car. You know, I think on interviews he had like a busted, broken watch. You know, not looking at, I need the latest bling. It's like, that doesn't interest me, all that kind of thing.
No, I'm not fussed about that. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like to have nice things, but it's not the be all and end all. You know, I've got a roof over my head, I've got everything I need to get by, and that's what's important, and that's what should be important.
And I think they hit upon a really good thing in the podcast when they mentioned that, like, we all say, I want to be more happy, I want more happiness, but then they said, well, may a better opportunity be in seeking contentment, which is different for everybody, because they mentioned that from a place of contentment you have the space or opportunity to either be happy or be sad, both of which are
within your
okay.
Well,
within your control.
Yeah, it was a good podcast. I'm definitely going to listen to some more of their podcasts. It's different. It's different to anything we've listened to so far, without question. And now they're on my radar, so you're not going to be able to give me any more of them to listen to, because they're already on my radar. I'll tell you what, this is definitely going to increase our scope of podcasts that we listen to, because we're both pushing each other down different avenues that we hadn't already gone down, which is marvelous.
100%. I mean, look, even yourself last week, you said, you know, it wasn't a podcast in the purest form. It was more like a kind of documentary style, or kind of exploring. But it's like, look, and then I explore. It's like, well, what our show is about, what the podcast Echo is about, is like we listen to a piece, typically a podcast where it's maybe two or more people exchanging and talking about a topic or whatever. But it doesn't just have to be that format. It could be just something like an interesting documentary or presentation of a perspective that you can delve into.
Yeah.
But as we said, it's not about what was said, it's about what you heard. And then we go off to talk about it, right? And as I said, this one did crop up at the last minute. And I
Which
thought
is
that
fine.
just the title itself, which is cool. But one last thing I wanted to just mention from this show was they talked about the darts, and in particular the 16-year-old.
I've not watched it. I have heard it.
Okay.
I know loads of people were watching it because it was on my news feed, but I didn't watch it. I don't actually have a telly in my lounge, so I don't really watch a great deal of television, to be honest.
So I get the point they made there is like, he is a 16-year-old, making his way up, and whether you watch or not. But they were just talking about the fact he was interviewed, I think, elsewhere, and he was asked, if he would, by the scum, asked, what would you spend your money on? And, he made the point, it's like, as a 16-year-old, I'll spend it on FIFA points and a fancy coat, and they made that sort of parallel universe point of like, wouldn't it be great if people actually said what they wanted? Right? Like, if I go on, say, Family Fortunes, like, what are you going to do with the money? I'll spend it on crack and whores. And they'd be like, no, you got to edit that bit, you can't say that.
Yeah, they need to say something. But, No, I get that. No, it's because they were saying that he'd been criticised, hadn't he, for like saying a load of stuff, and it's just like, whoa, rein it in. He's a 16-year-old lad. He's being honest. He just wish you could be that honest.
Well, they actually did point out an important, I think, hypocrisy there of so the history there, it is football / city related, Hillsborough and Liverpool, particularly with the scum, right? He was interviewed by the Sun, and the very notion of that, triggers people to explore their opinions and single him out, online, saying you should be aware of this, you should be aware of that, especially being in and from Liverpool. But then they point out the hypocrisy, saying, well, you're doing exactly what the scum is doing by singling people out and forcing opinion and the dialogue and the directive around it. And it's like, you're not giving them just free pass to just for every other base. He's 16 years old, and
he probably doesn't know half of that shit. I mean, I can't. Do you know what? I can't even remember what I was talking about. What was I talking to somebody, or was I watching something? Oh, do you know? No, right. It's that new series that's on Netflix, and it's that. What's it called? Fool Me Once. And they go in to get some like some old Kodak film developed, and the guy goes, "Do you want the super speedy service 1 hour?" And the two young kids walk out of the shop going, "Jesus Christ, I couldn't live in the olden times. 1 hour speedy service." And I thought, fucking hell, olden times. But do you know what I mean? For them, I bet if you gave half of these young kids a blooming actual camera, they wouldn't know what to do with it. He goes, well, where do I look at the pictures? Do you know what I mean? And it's just like a 16-year-old lad
where's the filters or effects button on this thing?
Yeah, because they were saying that he said that he just gets up in the morning, has some breakfast, sits and plays FIFA, does a couple of hours of darts, goes to bed. Well, good for him. Do you know what I mean? But
and he's going out with a 21-year-old.
Which apparently everybody was also uproar about. What if it was the other way around? Jeopardy fucking isn't. It is not.
That's what they point out. We're quick to jump to that. Oh, he's this and that, and it's building that narrative around other people's goings on. It's like,
I'm sure this is absolutely highly inappropriate. We might need to cut it out. But my great auntie, I used to say, well, what if? And she'd say, well, what if my auntie had balls? She'd be my uncle. Do you know what I mean?
I'm not cutting that out. I'm leaving that in.
So inappropriate, but so true. What if? Well, it isn't, is it? It's not.
Well, but it is something that, I think we readily participate in without knowing this. Like, why are we controlling that narrative of like, if it irks you or whatever, fine. But because it actually led to the last point they made in the podcast. You know, Robbo was talking about he woke up one morning, checked his social media and his Twitter feed in particular. He'd received this DM from someone that just went, "You're a knobhead," basically.
Been told I'm a knobhead by a raspberry. I'm arguing.
Yeah, he said, you know, I'm arguing with a fucking raspberry. I wake up, not looking to argue with anybody. You know, I just ended up arguing with a raspberry, and I'm like, what have I got to hear, lad? And then Paul's like, yeah, you should put that as a poster on your wall, going, you know, don't argue with a raspberry.
Why would you even entertain that? I think the other guy.
And that's, you know, that's what he said, didn't he, Robbo? He's like, why am I doing this? He's like, you know, he ended up sort of going out and going, have you ever been kissed by a woman and this kind of thing? It's like, where's that even going, right? And it's true.
I bet he's absolutely kicking himself now for even fucking responding to it. Do you know what? That kind of conversation is a coach's dream. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
It's an absolute, like, right, sit down, let's unpack this, shall we? But yeah, it did make me laugh. I actually wouldn't mind getting a picture put somewhere. I might get that printed out. I'm arguing with the raspberry and just put it somewhere. And do you know what? I'm arguing with a raspberry, and then underneath just put, just let them. Put it somewhere.
Yeah.
Just as a reminder that, do you know, I've had a really stressful day today. I actually feel like I'm on the verge of absolutely losing it. So this has definitely helped. I feel a little bit less shaken. It's just been, you know what, one of those days where the knock-on effect from something going minorly wrong in the morning has just catastrophized everything through the day. It's been one of those days today. But yeah, so it was a good podcast. I would have liked to have listened to it a bit more, to unpack it a little bit more, because I do like to do that. I like to, like, really, I think you listen to it once and you listen to it, and then you listen to it a second time and you really start to hear it. And then the third time you actually really start, you hear it properly, or I hear it properly. So 24 hours, Vish, for future reference. I need a bit longer than that.
No, as I said, like, I'm loath to make those last minute changes. But I thought, do you know what? Just in the spirit of the new year, and the title just sort of tickled me, and it was it's my sort of coach and sort of go-to podcast, and they just released it. I thought, let's just throw that into the mix. They themselves have grown over the past year. They only released it, you know, coming up to a year now, and they've, you know, first it used to be once a week, and then they built another show, and then now do a subscriber only show. So they've increased it that much. I thought that as you said, it's something different, and I really enjoyed it. I thought this might be something you enjoy too. So
yeah, no, definitely. And I tell you what, because they said they've done like 100 episodes, haven't they? So that's 2 a week. So while we're on the subject of episodes, I just want to say that obviously we've pre-recorded. This is our 8th episode. So you're off to India now for 3 weeks.
Yeah, till the end of January.
Yeah. So by the time you get back, I will have headed and titled all of these. I will have posted the clips that you've done, which I'm grateful, thank you, because that is not my forte at all. I'm crap at that, and all the editing stuff, which you are fabulous at. So it's a perfect symbiotic relationship for a podcast. So I do the stuff that you are not fussed about, and you do the stuff that I just can't do. So by the time you get back, all of the episodes will have been released, and we will be ready to hit the ground running with. What are we going to do? Are we going to try and do 2 episodes a week? Or are we just going to do 1 episode a week? What are we going to do?
I feel maybe 1 a week might be good just to test the water to see what the lay of the land lies. And also, if you're listening or watching this, let us know what you'd like. Like, what kind of output would you want to see from us? You know, are there maybe even shows that you want us to cover, and frequency and this kind of thing? The more this can be interactive and helped or led even by you guys, the better. Like, you know, we're coming from a space of like, look, we enjoy these conversations anyway, and obviously we wanted to get this first bank of episodes done so that, you know, you're not like left hanging for content, if you will. So if you did enjoy it, there's another one to back up and follow straight away.
Sound.
Uh-oh.
I've just coughed and all the sound's gone off. You keep talking because you can obviously still hear. It's all right, you keep going.
I'm getting a warning saying my mic's not working.
The sound's all gone. Keep going. Sorry,
Right.
guys, I can't hear Vish, but I'm gonna trust as always that what he's saying is epic.
You say that, but apparently my mic's not working either. So this is not going to be good. I might have to tune in on this. Do you know what? Let's just cut it there, and then we'll come back to reload this.
Hello.
But I did that? You hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, thank God! I got as you coughed. I've got a line saying my mic's not working. It's like what? Literally, I'm like, I heard you go, oh, my mic's not working, so I'm going to carry on. So I back to carry on and got the flash going, your mic's not working. Like, what have you do? Had that cough like transmit everywhere? Because then I'm like, I bet not just keep talking. Let me refresh, as it was suggesting, and then I'm back. So I'll edit this in the end form. But no, I was just saying that, like, let us know what you think. Like, if you want 1 a week, 2 a week, what would you, is the length like per episode too long, too short? What would you like to see? The more interactive we can make it and tailored to people that are watching and listening, the better. Look, we're in an enviable place where we enjoy these conversations anyway, but at the same time, look, Angela's saying, look, she's maybe going to get a job somewhere else soon, so have to sort of work this around that. So who knows? Maybe other situations will take precedent to mean that we might not be able to say do 2 a week, for example. But I think if we just start with 1, let us know what you think, how it goes. You've seen what we're about now. You've got a bank of episodes to enjoy,
or not.
Yeah, well, or not. Yeah, I trust if you've made it this far, you're enjoying it somewhat. But yeah, look, and at the same time, also tell your friends, people you think might be interested. This is, as I said, ultimately, it's 2 people enjoying a conversation that we're wanting to share. So, the more people that come along, the better.
Get to watch Vish's beard grow.
Well, look, for now, it will be coming off only because I can't be asked with the upkeep in a hot country. If I was here, then there's more of a chance where, like, I probably wouldn't go, sort of Santa Clausy down there. That might get a bit too sort of.
Ironically, and I'm not scared to admit it, as a woman in my 40s, I get one hair on my chin that just all of a sudden it just comes out of nowhere, and it wasn't there yesterday. And I don't know if you've noticed, but I've been sat here playing with it for the last half an hour, and it's about 1 inch long. And I don't even care. I am in my late 40s, and that is my beard.
Right, listeners, feel free to jump on the YouTube and watch. Does this actually happen for half hour? I've missed it, I've been here watching this feed going, but yeah, come and check out this video. Did Ange play with the hair on her chin? And let us know. But yeah, look, in terms of going forward, yeah, absolutely, let us know what you think, and we'll see what we can do. Really, we might expand out into, as I say, more. Areas, we were playing with the idea of, like, we start with even like a box set or a series entirely, try and run our way through that, and then talk about that rather than an individual episode from an individual collection or series or whatever. We'll try and put that into the mix as well. But yeah, let us know what you want to see for this show. Ultimately, at the moment, it is 2 people enjoying a conversation. Who knows, might even bring guests on. Might even have guest hosts. Who knows, right? Like, let us know.
It would be
get involved, people.
I'd like to get guests on, the guests of the shows that we've talked about. That would be pretty fucking epic if we could do the show and then do like a bank of episodes. And if the people that we've done the episodes about want to come on and have a discussion with us about what we thought, because let's face it, I've got to go back through these podcasts that we've done over the next next few days, and title them and put descriptions in and that kind of stuff, which ultimately means I'm going to have to listen to them, and I'm guaranteed I'm going to be like, Jesus Christ, did I fucking say that? So these people must get that as well. They must look back and think, oh my God, I wish I'd have said that. Well, now's your chance. You can come and say it to us.
Absolutely. And as I said, like, that's the beauty of this show, right? What we hear is going to be different from what you hear, going to be different to, you say, the participant themselves. Let's just all have a chat about it.
Okay.
So, we'll close off this episode for the podcast Echo for today. I hope you enjoyed it. As I said, like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff with the people you know, and we'll be back soon with another one.
Yep. See you, everyone. Bye.